Former Charleston County School District principal and teacher Jake Rambo wants to bring his experience from the classroom to the boardroom here at 75 Calhoun Street. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with Jake one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Jake Rambo, it's so good to meet you.
It's good to meet you too.
I appreciate this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know you're somebody once you get interviewed by Quintin.
Well, thank you, thank God.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it. You're running for the Charleston County School Board.
I am.
And I was sitting here late last night looking at your campaign video and doing my research. And in the campaign video, you talked about you being a former Charleston County School principal and teacher. Tell me, who else is Jake Rambo these days?
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start with what I do for work currently. Is I work for a local construction company, and I'm the director of human resources and marketing. So I do both of those things, and it's very interesting getting the business perspective now, because a big part of human resources is recruiting and hiring employees. Right. So just looking for some of those same qualities that I used to try to instill in the children to then hire them. So it come full circle. So I'm really enjoying that. And then I am running for school board. I'm very excited about that, and I feel strongly that it is very important to have teacher voice on the school board, and have an educator voice, and have people who have been there, people who have done that. And I've done that both as a teacher and a principal, and was very successful in both. And so I'm looking forward to potentially serving on the board.
And you all said this during the campaign video quote, "I will work tirelessly to restore trust in our school system." Question, what does trust look like right now in your mind?
I think the community doesn't trust the school board. I think that there has been somewhat of a lack of transparency over the past several years. I think there have been decisions that have been made that people weren't really aware of until after the fact, things like that. And then from a teacher perspective, I think there's a lot of teachers who don't have much trust in the board as well. And so, really opening the lines of communication, both with the community and the teachers, is going to be really important. And making sure that everybody's involved in the decision-making process.
And you said this too about teachers, quote, "Teachers are the key to a great education." What is the state of teachers in Charleston County?
Well, the state of teachers nationwide is, you see all of these protests going on and things like that. And really there's been just a lack of respect for teachers nationwide, and the respect has been disintegrating over the past 10 to 15 to 20 years. Teachers are, we're making it tough for teachers to do their jobs. There's all these regulations, there's discipline issues, there's all these things that go into it. There's a lack of pay, obviously, is one of the big things as well. And so, that's why the teaching profession is, if you look at the projections for the next 10 or 15 years, sure, there's lots of kids coming, but there's going to be a massive teacher shortage unless we are able to, restore some of the respect for teachers.
And you talk about this also, quote, "We must treat teachers as professionals by paying them a living wage, giving them the tools they need in the classroom, and ensuring they are a key part of the decision-making process." When you talk to those Charleston County school teachers, what did they tell you?
That last point especially is making sure that they are a part of the decision-making process. Too often, the Charleston County School District employs this top-down leadership style in which it's just a directive that all of a sudden the top gives the principals the directive, and then the principals give the teachers the directive, and they're thinking, where did this come from? Who was involved in this decision? We don't necessarily agree with how this is being done. And so when you look at issues in our schools, how often do we actually say, hey, let's get a group of teachers together and discuss this. Let's see what they're seeing and figure out if we can come up with some solutions.
And you also said this quote, "We need to put the focus back on our children. We must produce students, that is, who graduate from high school, ready for college or a career. I hate to ask this question, but I have to be blunt. What kind of students are being produced by the Charleston County School District these days?
A wide variety. I mean, there are certainly a lot of students who graduate and move on to successful careers and successful degrees, but there's a lot of students who aren't prepared for either thing. And so, you know, the reason I say college or career
Right.
is it's important that we have career education as one of the options. You know, I work, now that I do human resources for a construction company, I mean, there are very lucrative careers in the skilled trades. Some of them more lucrative than some of the college degree careers. And so, you know, it's important to give students a lot of options. Obviously, we want every student to have the opportunity to go to college if that's what they want to do. And then, you know, we want to have other opportunities available based on their skills, based on, you know, their passions. So.
And you also said this too, quote, "For too long, our community has been divided, so school board members must work to unite instead of divide." Why do school board members have to unite?
That's an interesting question.
Okay.
I mean, you look at, if you watch some of the school board meetings, even the school board members themselves are so adversarial with each other. You know, not respecting of each other's opinions or each other's time. And so how do we expect the community to be united if the school board can't get together either? And so, you know, part of, you know, my mission and what I want to do is be very open and honest and transparent and, you know, be able to work with people from all over the community. And, you know, community schools are very important, and, you know, they're a foundation of the community, and they need to be involved in that. So really it's just a matter of working with everybody and not shutting yourself off into ideals and things like that. You know, you got to be open and willing to do what's necessary.
And you also said this, quote, "We need safe schools that provide students and teachers with an environment in which they are protected. This includes ensuring that we have proper discipline plans in place to address student behavioral issues, as well as ensuring our school buildings are secure." What are those proper discipline plans in your mind?
Okay, so discipline, and if we go back to the teacher question and why there's a teacher shortage, discipline has a huge impact on why teachers quit. You know, as a former teacher and as a principal, I've been hit, bit, kicked, punched. I mean, you name it, it happens. And, you know, public schools, we take every child, and sometimes, you know, there's a lot of things going on with that. However, it can't be accepted. I mean, we have to have consequences. It's like we've moved away from, we always want to, you know, teach and remediate and reteach the expectations that we expect. And yes, that's an important part of it. But kids need structure. They need discipline. Schools need structure. They need discipline. And so, you know, we really have to get a little firmer on that stance, because I'll tell you, as a former teacher, I mean, you can have a class of 30 children, and you can have one student who is constantly doing crazy things, and it distracts the learning of everybody, takes away a good bit of instructional time. And so that's the impact that it can have. And so, you know, we need firm consequences, as well as supports like mental health and guidance and things like that. It's kind of a twofold approach. You want to support the child, but then you also have to have consequences for misbehavior.
And you talk about consequences, you know, there's a big talk now about SROs, Student Resources Officers. How many more do Charleston County need in your mind?
Well, I am glad that we are moving to a school resource officer at every school. You know, I'm happy that, you know, my child's school now has one. It makes me feel safer as a parent with all the craziness that's going on. So from an outside security type of perspective, I'm very glad that we have SROs. And then I also think from an education perspective that SROs are a great thing, because kids can build positive relationships with police officers And so they associate police officers in a positive light as they grow older because of the relationships they've built with SROs. So I think it's an important thing, and I'm glad that we're now going to have one in every school.
And you also said this quote, finally, the school board must operate with transparency. Too many of our tax dollars are being spent outside the classroom. School board members must be open, accessible, and accountable to the public. All this starts with having school board members who have educational knowledge and expertise and who understand the day-to-day operations of a classroom and school. Talk to me about the Charleston County School Board that you know right now.
Mm-hmm.
What is your vision right now when you see the school board?
Vision as far as?
Transparency.
Yeah, so I talked to transparency, a few minutes ago, but, we really need to have every stakeholder at the table in these decisions. It's very frustrating for people when, they read something in the paper and it's like we're spending millions of dollars on a football stadium or whatever, and people are like, well, where did this come from? I mean, I don't remember seeing any meetings about this, any hearings, and so, that transparency, it is a very big deal. But then I want to also address my other point there,
Please.
Which is you can ask probably anybody who's been in the Charleston County School District for any length of time, there are way too many resources that are not spent on the classroom. There's all these departments and divisions and all of these leadership salaries, and you can go look at the list of the salaries that some of our district office personnel have,
Right.
and it's excessive. And some of those people do great work, but at the end of the day, you have to look at, from a teacher perspective, they don't see that. They don't see that value that's added to their classroom. And so, we need to put our resources into the classroom, period.
You talk about tax dollars, and I should have asked you this in the beginning. Obviously, the Charleston County School Board passed their 2018-29 budget on Monday night.
Correct.
What should have been left out of the budget? What should they keep in the budget in your mind?
Okay, I am glad that there is a small step or a small teacher raise in there. I wish it could be more. I wish they would have started that sooner. So I'm very happy about that. As far as what should be taken out, I mean, I'd have to examine all of the documents and all of that sort of thing, but I would give my same answer. I mean, I think there is still too many resources being spent outside of the classroom.
And as you know, I believe the governor vetoed the opportunity for the school board to pass its own pay raise, and I know it's not in the budget either.
Correct.
Where should this money come from, or should they even get a pay raise at all in your mind?
Well, the reason I'm running for school board has the $9,000 a year or whatever it was going to be has absolutely
Right.
no impact on that. I mean, that's not anything remotely to do, with why I'm running.
Right.
So for me, it's a non-issue because I don't. It's not why I'm here.
And let's talk about, obviously the area you want to serve, Mount Pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
What is the future of those schools there?
Okay, so right now, obviously Mount Pleasant is engaged in not a fierce debate, but the redrawing of the attendance lines for the middle school,
Right.
which then potentially have an impact on the redrawing of the attendance lines for the new Lucy Beckham High School, which is going to open in 2 years.
Right.
And so that is going to be a big thing moving forward. But then I think the thing to realize about Mount Pleasant is that yes, there are a lot of students that succeed there, but there are also a good number of students from poverty in that area that, maybe aren't getting the support that they need. And so it's important to realize that as well. But I also want to say that even though, yes, I will represent the East Cooper area, as you have to live in that area and run for that seat.
Right.
However, you represent all of Charleston County.
Right.
So yes, I will fight for East Cooper, but I will fight for North Charleston and West Ashley and Edisto and everywhere else. And so, I'm about supporting the teachers and supporting the kids all over the district. So
That's so good to hear. Well, Jake Rambo, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you, Quintin. I appreciate it.
Likewise.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.